Merry Christmas. Let me ask you a question. What did you see today? I'm just going to guess you saw a Christmas tree and your family and friends opening presents and a Christmas dinner and something on TV and the kids playing with their new toys, and it was all quite lovely and twinkling lights and all the good things. And now let me ask you this question again. What did you see today? What did you really see? I know, silly question. I just kind of recapped what maybe you saw. But what I'm talking about is, what did your heart see? I can probably guess on some level, like we just went through, some of the stuff you might have seen today with your eyes. But what did your heart see? What was there that was beyond the visual? What was there beyond the tactile thing you could touch? This is what fascinates me. First of all, about Christmas. Second of all, about art and Scripture. Of course, this fascinates me about Scripture because Christ was born. We celebrate Christmas, Christ's birth, and we know the miracles that he did, and we know the life that he lived because it's shared all throughout Scripture. But there are all of these amazing things when you just look at Scripture and take it for where it is that sometimes we don't catch. It's really easy not to catch these things because we have TV and we have devices and we have all this noise and chatter around us, and we pick up the phone or we get on our device and we scroll on TikTok or Instagram or Facebook or whatever at the moment we're looking at. But we're not really looking with our heart, we're looking with our eyes. And the thing that catches me about this that is amazing is Matthew 11:5 talks about Jesus giving sight to the blind. That is amazing. That is a huge miracle. It is the coolest thing in the world ever. And then it goes on that he, heals people and they can walk. He heals the lame and they walk. And he gives people that can't hear their hearing. This applies to all of these things, what I'm about to share with you. But it especially applies right now to the visual and to seeing, because art, the way you become really good at art is by being able to see. Not see what's in front of you, not see the bowl, not see, the fruit in the bowl that you're going to draw or paint or whatever. What you see is so much deeper and broader than that. What you see when you begin a painting or a drawing or any of these things, you look at the shapes. And after you look at the shapes, or as you look at the shapes, you look at the color. And I don't mean, a pear is green and an orange is orange. I mean all of the different shades of green on the pear and all of the different shades of orange on the orange. So it becomes this play where you can actually see beyond the object. Okay? This is what I'm talking about. When you can literally see where the light hits, where the shadow is, where the darker darks are, and where the medium lights are, and the lightest light. So you have light and shadow. When you begin to see all of the things, all of a sudden you understand why an orange is round and how you can portray that as a round orange instead of just a circle colored orange with a crayon on a page, which there's nothing wrong with that. But think about that for a minute. How many people do you know that are blind? I mean, like legit, literally, they can't see. And I'm not being rude or anything about this. There are so many people in our world that have lost their sight or are born without their sight. And I understand that. That's not what I'm talking about. But what I'm saying is, how many people do you know personally that are blind, that cannot see? But then, how many people do you know that are blind in the idea that they cannot see truth? They cannot see something from a different perspective because they haven't been given sight. They haven't been given the ability to see with the heart. They haven't been given the ability and the grace and the salvation that God gives us, that Christ has bestowed on us with his birth and his death. They haven't been given that ability to see, which is so much larger and deeper and broader and all of those words than just being able to visually see or not see. And I think the reason this hits me right now is because Christ came that we might have life and more abundant. And that life that we have that's more abundant means all of our senses are working. We can see, we can hear, we can taste, we can talk, all of the senses. And yet, there are people that can't talk and communicate profound truth, unbelievably profound truth. There are people that deal with autism, and they cannot communicate at all. Not only can they not communicate, they look like they're just kind of a living being, but there's no interaction, and they don't understand what's going on around them, and a lot of them do. But how many times do we not see with our heart, we just see with our eyes? And when I ask you what you saw today, what I'm asking you is, what did you see with your heart? You have taken the time to shop and purchase presents for family members and friends. You've taken the time to prepare a meal. A couple of days in advance, you started doing, the cakes or the pies or the dressing or however you celebrate your holiday. All of these things can be seen, but it's the inner work, the inside, that compels us to do these things. And when we're compelled by Christ, that is the life abundant that he's come to give us. That is, I'm going to bake these pies. I'm going to make this cake because I love these people in my life and I want to share this with them. I want them to have this and to enjoy it. I'm going to go purchase these packages and these gifts because I want to show my love and appreciation for my family. That's what Christ did. That's what God did. He loved us and he saw us. He sees us not on the outside, but he sees us on the inside. And he loves what he sees. Whether we respond to that love or not, he still loves us. Everything good, every single thing that is good comes from God. There's no if and maybe, nothing. Every single thing that is good comes from God. I don't care what it is. If you get the best parking spot in the parking lot and it's right in front of the door, that was from God. No joke, not even kidding. Everything good comes from him. And because of that, and because of the abundant life he offers us, when he lives inside of us, when we have this relationship with him, an ongoing chatting, hanging out with God, doing stuff with him, and realizing that he's always there, when we have that relationship with him, that just overflows. We don't think about it. We don't think about, I want to be kind to this person, or I need to open the door for that person, or I want to love my children, or I want to be there for my friends. It just happens because that is Christ in you and the overflow. And when we see from the heart, we're seeing through the eyes of Christ. So when the presents got opened this morning or last night, whenever you do them, when you saw the joy on the family and friends on their faces, that was an overflow of Christ. That was an overflow of being together, doing life together. And that was Christ showing grace, showing love, and God walking with us every step of the way. So what I really want to share with this is when you create art, when you draw something, when you paint something, however, I'm using oil pastel crayon type things in this painting. When you do this, you see things deeper and more fully than if you just sat down and drew a circle or drew a triangle and put a bunch of circles on it and called it a tree, which is totally fine. But when you begin to see with your heart, that's when a full spectrum of color and love and grace and joy, that's when the full spectrum of who God is, that's when it comes out. Which is amazing to me, because when you look at light has tons of colors. It has every color in it, but we don't see them with the naked eye. But when you begin to paint, when you begin to draw, when you begin to shade things in and give them, make something round look like it's round, make something square look like it's square. When you start looking at life that direction as if you're creating a painting, that's when you begin to see with the heart and not just the eyes. And isn't that what we are? Aren't we God's masterpiece? That's what it says in Scripture. We are His masterpiece. We are His workmanship. And doesn't it make sense that we turn around and create also, because we're made in His image? And then we begin to see as we create the way He sees. That is what, to me, is the most amazing thing. And that's what makes creating art so cool. Hope you have a great evening. Merry Christmas.